الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله.
So inshallah we are left with our last session, and our last session is on the topic of what to recite in the Ruqya itself. And I usually divide the ayat of Ruqya into three categories. The first category is those ayat which are proven for Ruqya in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What they are number 1, Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Number 2, Surah Al-Baqarah in its entirety. Number 3, the three quls. Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, and in some narrations, Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. So the 4 quls if you wish. So they are Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Al-Baqarah, and the 4 quls. These are, to the best of my knowledge, and I can be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, these are the only surahs of the Quran which are proven that they were recited by the Sahaba and by the Prophet ﷺ in Ruqya. Does that mean they are the only surahs you can recite? No. You're welcome to recite whatever you wish from the Quran. The whole of the Quran is shifa. But we want you to focus your Ruqya on what the Prophet ﷺ did. Because the barakah, like we said, is in following the Sunnah. So we want you to focus your Ruqya. And normally I say the minimum amount is 45 minutes per day. 45 minutes per day. That first 45 minutes, I would advise you that you do not go outside of Al-Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, and the Quls. Al-Kafirun, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, and Al-Nas. Why? 45 minutes is not from the Sunnah. 45 minutes is my recommendation of something that is easy to do. It's really easy for you to do, but at the same time it's enough to be effective. So you sit down with the person and you start to recite Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. How many times? If you wish, you can recite it 7 times. Because this is narrated from Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu and others of the companions. If you wish, you can recite it 3 times. It's narrated from other of the companions, and the Prophet ﷺ approved of it. If you wish, you can recite it once. And if you wish, you can recite it an odd number of times, because the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allaha witrun yuhibbul witr. Allah is odd in number, and He loves those things which are odd in number. As for someone who says to you, recite Surah Al-Fatiha 692 times, then we say to them, the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, in Bukhari and Muslim, من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. Whoever does an action that is not in accordance with our sunnah will be rejected. 7 is authentically reported, 3 is authentically reported, 1 is authentically reported, and an odd number is indicated in the hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وِتْرٌ يُحِبُّ الْوِتْرَ. Allah is odd in number and He loves those things which are odd in number. And you can recite as much or as little as you like. If you recite it 12 times, fine, 15 times, but don't set a number other than 1, 3 or 7. Don't set yourself a number other than 1, 3 or 7, because they are the only numbers that are authentically reported in the Sunnah with regard to Ruqya Shari'ah. So you recite maybe much as you like, Al-Fatiha 3 times, 7 times, 10 times, 15 times, whatever you like. You recite Al-Fatiha. You recite either Surah Al-Baqarah in a whole way, or you can recite part of Surah Al-Baqarah according to what is easy for you. Recite maybe the beginning, Ayatul Kursi, Aman al-Rasul, the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. These are the most important parts of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. You can recite آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون. Or you can recite the whole of Al-Baqarah, because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُهَا الْبَطَلَةِ. The magicians are unable to do anything against Surah Al-Baqarah. And then you focus all of your energy in this time upon قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, and a little bit قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. Why? Because especially the last two, Al-Falaq and Al-Nas, were revealed for the purpose of Ruqya. They were revealed as a Ruqya for what happened to the Prophet ﷺ when he was afflicted by magic. He was recited upon by Jibreel, and Jibreel recited over him قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. So don't leave those two surahs for anything else. You know, some people say, I recite Surah Yasin, Surah Safat, Surah... Alhamdulillah, khair, good for you. But don't lose the surah that was sent down for the sake of Ruqya, for the sake of a surah that was not sent down for the sake of Ruqya. So we say, keep your first half an hour, 45 minutes of your Ruqya focused on these ayat alone. Doesn't matter, ayn, sihr, jinn, sickness, depression, lack of iman, whatever the problem is, you focus your energy on Al-Fatiha, a part of Al-Baqarah like Ayat Al-Kursi or Aman Al-Rasul, because you can't read the whole of Al-Baqarah in that time. Or you focus it on the last, and especially on the last four quls, or especially the last two, Al-Falaq and Al-Nas. And you can repeat them again and again and again. Keep reading them over yourselves. What should you be doing when you're reading? Well, I'm going to be reading and blowing. And I've got a lecture called The Quran as a Cure. We talk about this 10 different ways you can use, or I mentioned 9 different ways you can use the Quran as a ruqya. Reading on its own, reading and blowing. Blowing on your hand and putting the hand on the person, obviously if it's not a lady who is not a mahram. Blowing over the person without touching, spitting on the finger, touching the floor and touching the person. There are so many, and I've talked about them in this video. Instead of taking another hour of your time, I will just tell you to watch it. It's called The Quran. I think it's called something like The Quran as a Cure, or The Cure of the Quran as a Cure, something like that. It's also on my website, inshallah. And it covers about 9 different ways that you can use the Quran as a ruqya. But let's just stick with the most common. So the most common is to read and blow. So you read, and there's no limit, you have to blow after every page, or no, you can blow whenever you like. You can repeat the ayah more than once, and you blow. If you like, you can have a little bit of spittle when you blow, like this. Or you can blow onto your hands and put your hand there, or you can put your hand there and blow. And the other different ways we're going to show you, or the other different ways that you can do it. What you want to be doing is to read and blow, read and blow, read and blow. And what you're doing is you're looking at the person, if you're allowed to look at them, and you're looking at the person, you're looking for how they are reacting, you're focusing on the Quran, on the meaning, on attaching your heart to the dhikr, on trying to act upon what you're reciting and listen to it and really feel it. You're reciting this Quran upon the person. If you see some sort of problems, you can focus on where that problem is. So if you see someone's hand starts to shake, so you can take hold of their hand if you're allowed to touch them. If you're not allowed, you can ask the mahram to take hold of the hand. You can take hold of the hand. You can just, don't hit. Okay, because I know that hitting was used by some of the scholars in Islam for ruqya, Imam Ahmad, Sheikh al-Islam al-Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. But the reality is that if you're not good at it, you end up hurting the person and you end up not hurting the jinni. And more than that, it's illegal in this country to do it anyway. So we don't advise you get banned from ruqya and thrown in prison because you decide to get a bit, and hit the jinn. Usually you will miss and you'll only end up hurting yourself and the person. So the reality is it takes a lot of skill and it's not allowed to do here, so I don't never recommend you to do it, and especially not with children. What we do recommend you to do instead is gentle massage. Works perfectly well, it's almost as good. Is that you find the person's hand is shaking, just take hold of their hand and just slowly just massage the arm while you're reading blow on it, massage it. Then you'll see one finger comes up, get hold of the finger, blow on it, massage it gently. This is more than enough to hurt the jinn. You don't need to, take a big stick. People have died doing this. And people have actually killed people by beating them during ruqya, which just shows that they have no idea what is a jinn and what is not a jinn and what is where the jinn is in the body. And so they take a stick and they just start beating the person until the person dies. And the jinn is just laughing, watching the person just, saying, you're doing your job for me. You might do my job for you. So it's something, subhanAllah, very sad. So this kind of gentle pressure, keep, your hand on the place of the pain. If they say, it's in my head is beating, just put your hand on the head, blow, put your hand on it. If it's a lady, you can't touch her, just blow over her and don't put your hand there at all. Or blow on the mahram's hand and put the mahram's hand on the head. Inshallah, you go like this. The most important thing when you are reading is sabr. Sabr. Wallahi, I say to everybody, consistency and sabr. Sabr wal musabara. Sabr and consistency is the other two keys. Sabr because, like Ayyub, you might not get the cure after 1 day. You need patience. You need to read again and again and again and again. And don't get hooked up on the signs. People are too hooked up. Like if the arm is not shaking, there is no jinn. Go home. You need to go to the NHS. Book your appointment with the doctor. That's not true. If the person is unwell, Ruqya is the cure. Doesn't matter if it's medical or anything else. And many times when you have sabr, you will see the jinn come later on. You will get, some of the Raqi, they're all like, 10-minute Ruqya. 10 minutes, if the person is reacting, alhamdulillah, they have a problem. If the person is not reacting, go home. It's not how we do Ruqya. Do Ruqya for them 1, 2, 3 days, whatever you can do. Let them, if you don't see anything, say to them, do Ruqya on yourself. Don't say to them, stop Ruqya. Tell them, do Ruqya on yourself, insha'Allah, and we will, if something comes out later or there is some problem later, I will come back to you. That's what I used to do. I used to read on someone. If in 45 minutes I don't see any reaction, I will not say to them, you are cured, you are fine. I will say to them, subhanAllah, nothing happened this time. Go home, read on yourself, do your adhkar, your dhikr, your protection. If you still have a problem after a couple of days, come back and see me again. Sometimes after 5, 6, 7, 10 sessions, something will come. Just be patient. Keep reading. You're reading Quran, it's beautiful, relax, enjoy yourself. Relax, but don't close your eyes too much. Sometimes this happened to me, and I get too relaxed, and then the jinn comes and goes like this, in your face, and then you become, you jump like 2 feet up into the air. So don't become too relaxed, just be a bit careful. خُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ. Take your precautions. And read on the person like this, inshallah. So you're reading, and then when you have finished your allowance from Al-Falaq and Al-Nas, and you're happy with that, then you can read whatever you like. Then you can read As-Safat, Yasin, or you can read Ar-Rahman, or you can read Surah Al-Jinn, or you can read the ayat of Sihr from Surah Al-A'raf and Surah Yunus and Surah Taha. Bismillah, read what you like. But after you have read Al-Fatiha, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq, Al-Nas, Al-Kafirun, Al-Baqarah, this is where the sunnah is. So we always put the sunnah first. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allahi wa rasulih. Don't put anything ahead of Allah and His Messenger. So we always put the sunnah way first. And I found this to be so much more effective. Before I used to jump in, and if I saw magic, I would start reading the ayat of Sihr and Surah Taha. And I realized that the most effective treatment is for Al-Fatiha, the Quds, Al-Baqarah, or parts of Al-Baqarah. Then when you have finished this part, then Bismillah, read whatever you like. Read any part of the Quran, because the whole of the Quran is shifa. But we don't say any particular ayah for any particular illness without a dalil. We don't let somebody come along and say that, if you read أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا, this is going to happen, that is going to happen. We say no. And there's a fatwa from the Lajna ad-Daima in Saudi Arabia that it is a bid'ah and an innovation and haram for a person to specify ayat for particular conditions without an evidence. So these we have an evidence for. Otherwise, whatever of the Quran you read, you can read. There's nothing wrong. You can read any ayah you wish. But don't give an evidence that this ayah is for, headaches, and this ayah is for, toothache, and this ayah is for this, and this ayah is for this, without a dalil. Okay. So the first group of ayat, the ayat from the Sunnah. Second group of ayat, the ayat which are clearly related to the topic. So for example, we read today the ayat that relate to magic. They're clearly related to magic. So if you believe the person has magic and you finish reading Al-Falaq and Al-Nas several times, 7 times, 3 times, you want to read the ayat of sihr, Bismillah, read the ayat that relate to sihr. There's no harm in doing that. The ayat that relate to the evil eye, for example, you want to repeat them again and again. You want to read, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. No problem, inshallah, but first finish your sunnah ayat, your ayat that are from the sunnah, and then inshallah read whatever you wish that relates to the topic. If you think the person has a jinn problem, read Surah Al-Jinn, Surah Al-Safat, Bismillah, read it, go ahead, no problem. But finish first your ayat that are from the sunnah, because this is always the most barakah. Then, after this, the ayat which were recommended by the major scholars of Islam, even, and maybe they're not in the sunnah, but the major people, the famous people of Ruqya, the likes of Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, it's well known that he would recite the end of Surah Al-Mu'minun. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. He recites the end of Surah Al-Mu'minun. And different people will tell you, I recite this, I recite this. Bismillah, recite as you like, inshallah. Especially those that are recommended by the major scholars of Islam, or the famous Iraqi says, if the person has evil eye, recite this ayah, no problem, inshallah, Bismillah. But first of all, you put the sunnah first, and then you can go on. And finally, whatever you wish to recite. Sometimes we don't recite because the ayah is related to Ruqya, but we recite because the heart is attached to it. Like sometimes I read this page from Surah Al-Anbiya about Ayyub and Yunus. Why? Not because it is a Ruqya, like a specific Ruqya, but because it reminds me of what Ayyub went through, and it reminds me of what Yunus went through, and Zakaria, and it makes my heart attached to what I'm reading, and I feel some iman increase when I'm reading this. So I read it sometimes, but I don't tell people you have to read this. Sometimes I read the ayah from Surah Al-An'am about if Allah touches you with harm, there is no one that can remove it but Him. It's not for the sake of a ruqya, but because I want to remind myself that only the harm and the benefit only comes from Allah Azza wa Jalla. So there is no harm in reading any part of the Qur'an, but don't specify a part of the Qur'an for something without an evidence. I.e., you can read it from yourself, but don't tell people, this ayah is for toothache, and this ayah is for headache, and this ayah is for this. And likewise, try to focus upon the ayat that are from the sunnah, and then move on. And especially Surah Al-Baqarah. Because, ikhwani, a lot of people are lazy when it comes to Surah Al-Baqarah. A lot of people are lazy when it comes to Surah Al-Baqarah, wallahi. And they read just, the first 2 lines, the last 2 lines, and Ayatul Kursi. And mashallah, it's amazing to read Ayatul Kursi. But really think about reading the whole of Surah Al-Baqarah. My Sheikh, Sheikhuna, Sheikh Ali al-Tuwajiri, used to tell us to read Al-Baqarah on them twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. And if you complain to him, he will say, okay, you need to do it 3 times. Once in the morning, once in the middle of the day, and once in the evening. And he used to say there is nothing like it. And he said to me that he had never had a case take longer than 7 days. Never had a case take longer than 7 days. I don't think I can remember the last time I had a case that was cured in 7 days. And he can't remember a case that wasn't cured in 7 days. But he reads Al-Baqarah. First of all, he's in Medina. Secondly, he's a Sheikh. And thirdly, he reads Surah Al-Baqarah 3 times a day on them. But it shows you what you can do with that surah. I recommend to people, I have a little program. You can find it on my website, my Ruqya program, 45 minutes a day. And I recommend you go through Al-Baqarah twice a week. So I'm not going to tell you to do it twice a day, but at least twice a week. And you can break it up into pieces, because it protects the house, it protects you, it stops magic, it's beautiful. And then you do your dua as well. So you don't just stop with Quran, then you go and you do your dua. أَذْهِبِ الْبَأْسَ رَبَّ النَّاسِ إِشْفِ وَأَنْتَ الشَّافِي لَا شِفَاءَ إِلَّا شِفَاءُكَ شِفَاءً لَا يُغَادِرُ سَقَمًا بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم بسم الله أرقيك من كل شيء يؤذيك أو كل عين حاسد الله يشفيك بسم الله أرقيك. And all of the dua. And if you want to get the dua, there's a lovely little book. It's a maroon color, like a red color book. Dua of Ruqya from the same author, Al-Qahtani. I think it's Dr. Sa'id Al-Qahtani, as Hisn al-Muslim, the fortress of the Muslim. And it's basically supplications for Ruqya. So again, you can read those as well. Someone might say, okay, what will happen if the jinn will come out and speak. I will get scared. What did we say? What is the evidence? We said Surah Al-Imran, ayah number 175, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَ فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ وَخَافُونِ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Don't be scared of shaitan. Shaitan comes out, you're scared of shaitan, be scared of Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't be scared of the shaitan. Don't engage yourself with the jinn. Please, ikhwani, wallah, take from me and trust from someone who tried many times, telling them to leave and going and this and that. Wallahi, there's no faida. Tell them to leave once or twice. Say to them to fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Say, ukhruj ya adu Allah, leave, O enemy of Allah. And that's it. One time, start reciting again. Why want to start having a conversation with them? Allah, where are you from? Where are you? How are you? Where you came from today? Are you old? Are you Muslim? Are you not Muslim? The jinn is just thinking, this guy is really foolish, let me really spin it out. So he starts telling, yeah, I was there when Kennedy was assassinated, I can tell you who was the gunman on the grassy knoll, and I will tell you about the conspiracy of the Yahud and the Nasara and this and this and this. And he is just basically telling you a tale, and you are sitting there like starry-eyed, amazed by it, and maybe later on you will want to seek his help. You say, I'll tell you where the magic is, don't worry, you're a great Ruqya, your recitation is so powerful, I felt so scared, so now I'm going to do whatever you command me to do. Say, command you to do? I don't command you to do anything. Leave and go. If they are Muslim, they say, I'm a Muslim, don't call me enemy of Allah, I'm a Muslim. Say, fear Allah, you're not allowed to do this, this is haram. Allah Azza wa Jal prohibited ظلم إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وجعلته حراما بينكم أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. That the Prophet ﷺ narrated from Allah that I have made dhulm, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, I have made oppression haram to myself and haram between you all. فَلَا تَظَالِمُوا. So don't be oppressive to one another. So subhanAllah, at the end of the day you tell them to fear Allah and straight away start reciting again. Say, I'll think about it, just 1 minute, just tell me, why should I leave again? He's just wasting your time. Just start reciting again. When you finish reciting, when you have had enough, then say to him again, ukhruj ya adu Allah, leave, O enemy of Allah. Leave, Bismillah. And he'll say, I will leave tomorrow. Okay, don't start negotiating. Okay, tell us, 2 hours time, let's do 3 hours. Can we say 3 hours, we agree on 3? No, start reciting again. Start reciting again. When he wants to leave, trust me, we'll leave. Then you'll get, I don't know how to leave. I don't know how to leave. I want to leave, but I don't know how to leave. Say, no problem, inshallah. After I recite for a couple of hours, you will remember very quickly how to leave. You couldn't leave before, then you will suddenly remember how to leave. Now, I don't say they're not lying as such, because the magician does tie them into the body a little bit. But as you break those bonds of magic through the Ruqya by the permission of Allah, the jinn will soon enough leave. I've never found a great benefit to converse with them. A lot of people who do Ruqya do it. I personally think it's a waste of time, and it opens you to so much evil. Because at the end of the day, you start getting attached to them, you start getting interested in them, you start asking them a few questions. Can you just tell me this, what really was the situation here? Can you really tell me, this thing that happened? And you start falling into seeking help from them. Even the Muslim ones. Just keep it simple. Quran, leave. After every now and again, if they say, what is Islam? Tell them what is Islam in 1 minute. Islam is to worship Allah alone and with no partner, to leave worshipping everything besides Allah, to accept Muhammed ﷺ as the messenger of Allah. Bismillah, start reading again. Let them quickly come to a decision. They will just say, tell me more, They're just wasting your time. Recite on them, limit your conversation, and do not believe them. The Prophet ﷺ said, صَدَقَكَ وَهُوَ كَذُوبٌ. He told you the truth even though he is a great liar. That is the shaitan. So be very careful, because what happens is what? They start telling you, I'll tell you where the magic is. Do you want me to bring it for you? What they want you to ask them something, to seek help. I will leave for your sake. For the sake of you, I will leave. In your name, I will leave. Say, leave in the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Otherwise, do what you wish. Or they will say, I will give you something, I will make you this, I'm a Muslim, I will leave this person and I will become your helper and assistant, and all of this rubbish. Just say to them, do as you like. Bismillah, I'm reading. You leave, fear Allah and leave. And don't follow their instructions. They start telling you, I will tell you where the magic is, I will bring the magic for you. Say, do as you wish. If you want to bring the magic, do as you like, but I am reading on you until you leave. So I'm not going to stop reading. If you bring something, you don't bring something, I'm not bothered. I'm here. I'm going to read. And better than that is only respond to them with the Quran, if you can. If you're hafid of the Quran, you have good hifd of the Quran, try not to respond to them with speech because you're also wasting your time. So try to respond to them with the Quran. So if you want to give them da'wah, you could recite قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ أَنْ لَا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَلَا نُشْرِكَ بِهِ شَيْئًا. For example, you're using the Quran to answer them. So one of them says, I'm going to kill your family. I'm going now, I'm going to leave this person's body, and I'm going to go to your little baby son, and I'm going to kill him. Say, فَقَضِ مَا أَنْتَ قَاضٍ إِنَّمَا تَقَضِي هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Recite Quran over them, that do whatever you like. Whatever you do is only going to be in this dunya. Whatever you think you can do, not going to be able to do anything. Or you say to them, وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِّينَ بِهِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. You can't harm anyone except with the permission of Allah. Or one of the other ayat of the Quran, you recite to them that Allah, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, how Allah is my sufficient for me and what an excellent disposer of affairs. Or Allah will protect me. You know, or you recite to them, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ مَوْلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَأَنَّ الْكَافِرِينَ لَا مَوْلَى لَهُمْ. That the kafirin, they have no mawla, they have no protector, but Allah is the protector of the people who believe. And you recite the Quran instead of getting involved in this conversation backwards and forwards. But if you do talk to them, just keep it short and leave and go. And don't get starstruck, don't get excited by it. Otherwise what happens is you end up wasting your time, and more than that, you end up always trying, the shaitan is always waiting for you. What did Imam Sa'di say? What we said about the people at the end of Surah Al-A'raf, who when they're touched by the shaitan, what did Imam Sa'di say? The shaitan is always waiting for you to slip up. When you slip up, remember, fear Allah, come back to yourself, make tawbah, bismillah, off we go again. And you remember the difficulties and remember what you need to do to get out of them, inshaAllah ta'ala. So, we have just a little bit of time left, and I am going to take really quite a bit of your time up to Asr. I know Asr is inshallah at 6 o'clock, and I'm probably going to take at least another 10 minutes inshallah of your time, maybe 15 inshallah, and just quickly time for wudu and salah inshallah. I want to go through bi'idhnillahi ta'ala one question that we got asked, and again I've got a lot of answers to questions online, but this is one that's good. Someone said, well, what about someone who's not praying? Maybe someone who's not Muslim. Should we do ruqya on them? Yes, the sunnah is to do ruqya upon them, as the Sahaba did ruqya for people who were not Muslim. But bear in mind, your aim in the ruqya is not to cure them by the permission of Allah, but to guide them and cure them. So to let them see that the cure is opening their heart to Allah, and then they want to start praying again and you know, onwards from there. So the Muslim comes and says, I've got a ta'weed, I believe in seeking help from the dead and all of this stuff. Will you do ruqya for me? Correct their belief. They say, no, I'm not, but will you do ruqya? Okay, bismillah, I will do ruqya for you. But I will do ruqya for you to show you that the answer is not in what you are doing now. The answer is in turning to Allah. So when they get a little bit better from the ruqya, you remind them that, look, this is a grace from Allah. You need to change your ways, get rid of the ta'weed, get rid of the partners with Allah, worship Allah Azza wa Jal alone. So yes, you can do ruqya for non-Muslims and non-practicing Muslims, but your goal is constantly da'wah for them and getting them to come back to Islam. Very, very quickly, what I wanted to do is the tafsir of some of the ayat that we've just spoken about now. And particularly Surah Al-Fatiha, tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha, and the tafsir of the last 3 surahs of the Quran, and a little bit maybe of Ayat al-Kursi, inshallah ta'ala, just very, very briefly. So Surah Al-Fatiha, because we're going to recite this in our ruqya again and again, what does it actually mean? What does it actually mean? So I'm not going to take all of it from Tafsir al-Sa'di because we have very little time, but just some key points. So we start by saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. What does it mean, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim? It means Asta'inu bika ya Allah wa asta'inu bi dhikr ismik. I seek your help. Ba'ul isti'ana. I seek your help, O Allah, by mentioning your name, your greatest name, which is Allah, and your mercy, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the one who has general mercy that covers every single thing, and specific mercy that is only for the believers. I ask you by these things, O Allah, to give me the strength to be able to proceed. And it's not going to be a detailed tafsir, but just to get you in the right frame of mind. When you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Asta'inu bika ya Allah, I seek your help, O Allah. In the name of Allah, Allah, the one who all of the names of Allah come in within this name, Allah. And many of the scholars said this is Ismullah al-A'zam, الذي إذا سئل به أعطى وإذا دعي به أجاب. The name that if he is asked by it, he will give you, and if he is made dua by it, he will answer you. And some of the scholars said it's Al-Hayy al-Qayyum, and some of them said it is all of the names of Allah that have more than one meaning. So we constantly ask for Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the one who has general mercy, the one who bestows that mercy on whoever he wants from his servants. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We praise Allah Azza wa Jal. How do we praise Him? We praise Him because of His perfect names and attributes, and His perfect actions, and His perfect lordship. We praise Him for all of these things, and we recognize that this praise is only for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we recognize His rububiyyah and His tarbiyah, both. His rububiyyah, His lordship, He's a Rabb. Everything He owns, everything, and controls everything, and everything in His hands. And a nafa' and a dar, benefit and harm, is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We recognize this, and we recognize the tarbiyah of Allah, that Allah has raised us and nurtured us to thank Him and to worship Him. Al-Allama al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Ar-Rabb huwa al-Murabbi Jami' al-Alamin. He is the one who has nurtured all of creation, all of the worlds, the world of the jinn, the world of the angels, the world of men, the world of the animals. Allah Azza wa Jalla has nurtured every single one of them. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, that has general mercy and bestows that mercy on whoever He wants. So we're asking Him, bestow that mercy. You are Ar-Rahim. You choose who gets the mercy and who doesn't. So choose for me to be one of the people who gets this mercy. Maliki Yawmiddin. When we remember Al-Mulk, everything of Allah's names really goes back to Allah's Mulk, that Allah is Al-Malik. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, Allah is Al-Malik, and the scholars differ over whether He is Al-Malik. But He is Al-Malik. And He is Maliki Yawmiddin. He is the sovereign, the one that controls everything. And the roots of disbelief are cut off because those people that they worship besides Allah don't own anything. They don't control anything. They don't decree anything. And part of being Al-Malik or Al-Malik is decree and reward and Jannah and Jahannam. All of them are in the hands of Allah Azza wa Jalla, not in the hands of anybody else. And that will become clear Yawmuddin, on the day when Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, Liman il-mulkul yaw. Who does the dominion belong to on that day? Who does the kingdom belong to on that day? Lillahi al-wahid al-qahhar. To Allah, the one that cannot be resisted. And this brings together what? Love and hope and fear. So these three ayat bring together three emotions. The first ayah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, brings to you the feeling of love. How much love you have for Allah, that He looked after you, He gave you your health, your wealth, your children, your life, your possessions, your guidance, your ability to pray, your ability to recite the Quran. All of that came from Allah, so you love Him so much because of what He gave you. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, you feel the hope in Allah, that even if I'm sinful, and even if this person I'm reciting on is sinful, we still are within the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, and we still hope in that mercy because we know that that mercy is near to the believers. Maliki Yawmiddin, that Allah Azza wa Jal is the owner of the day of recompense, or Maliki Yawmiddin in some of the qira'at, that Allah Azza wa Jal is the sovereign of the day of recompense, and that makes us fear Allah. We get scared that on that day there will be no way for us to get out of the problem we put for ourselves except who Allah has mercy upon. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. What is the conclusion? The conclusion is that based on these three fundamental descriptions of Allah, the love of Allah that comes from His nurturing and His lordship and His actions, the dominion of Allah Azza wa Jal, His mercy, based upon this, we worship Him alone and we seek help from Him alone. And Ibn al-Qayyim used to consider this to be one of the greatest ayat in Ruqya. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. That it's only you we ask help from, O Allah, it's only you that we worship. And sometimes we repeat this ayah to remind ourselves of how much our focus and our worship is only for Allah Azza wa Jalla. And then we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, after we praised Allah, and after we introduced our dua, we begin the focus of our dua, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to the straight path. Because if Allah doesn't guide us, وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهُ. If Allah doesn't guide us, who is going to guide us? If Allah doesn't cure us, who is going to cure us? If Allah doesn't show us the way to Jannah, how will we ever reach it? اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Who is on this path? Whose path is it? Which way is the صراط المستقيم? صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. The path of those you have bestowed your favor upon. من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. ذلك الفضل من الله. As Allah Azza wa Jalla said, with the prophets and the truthful and the martyrs and the righteous, and what an excellent group of companions they are. This is just a grace from Allah. None of you deserve to be guided. ذَلِكَ الْفَضْلُ مِنَ اللَّهِ. This is just a grace from Allah Azza wa Jalla, a bonus that Allah Azza wa Jalla gives you. And not the path of two people. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ. Who are al-maghdubu alayhim? Al-maghdubu alayhim are those people who know the truth but don't act upon it. They know that their cure lies in this, but they don't do it. They know that the reason they are sick is because of this sin, but they don't leave it. وَلَا الضَّالُونَ. And they are example of them is the example of the Yahud, who knew the truth, but they didn't act upon it. They knew that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They know him like they know their own children. But they said, he is not from our tribe, so we don't want to follow him. وَلَا الضَّالِينَ. Who are الضَّالُونَ? الضَّالُونَ are those people who don't know where the truth is at all. And they are given the example of the Nasara, the Jews, the Christians. Because the Christians, they don't know where the truth is. They don't even know what's right and what's wrong. And so we seek refuge with Allah from ignorance and from knowing the truth and not acting upon it. And this is an extremely powerful dua, remembering that Allah Azza wa Jal answers each word that you say, each sentence, each ayah you say, Allah Azza wa Jal answers your statement. It says, Hamadani Abdi, my servant has praised me. And so on and so forth. My servant has extolled me, my servant has exalted my remembrance. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. This is between me and my servant will have what they ask for. Meaning, you're seeking help from me, I will give it to you. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. This is for my servant, and my servant will have what they ask for. So Allah Azza wa Jal answers you when you read Surah Al-Fatiha. And this is absolutely beautiful. As for the other parts, we'll just very quickly mention in 1 minute or two, because we have to stop now for Salah. Definitely Ayat al-Kursi, think about all of the remembrance of Tawheed, the great names of Allah, Allah, Al-Hayy al-Qayyum, which gather together all of the names which the scholars said could be Allah's greatest name. All of them are mentioned in the beginning of Ayat al-Kursi, affirming that there is no help, there is no power, there is no ability except by Allah Azza wa Jal. There is no one who can intercede, there is no one who can help you, and that Allah Azza wa Jal controls everything in the heavens and the earth, and it's not difficult for Him to guard them and to protect them. This is the greatest ayah in the Quran because it tells you the most about Allah Azza wa Jal. It tells you more about Allah than anything else. And the more you know Allah and His names and attributes, the more powerful your ruqya will be over yourself and over other people. We know Amin al-Rasul at the end, the dua that we make, all of those things that we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help us for and protect us against, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we will be given the answer, or that our dua will be accepted when we make this dua. And then we come to the last 3 surahs of the Quran, contain seeking help from Allah Azza wa Jal from every evil. Think of any evil in the world, you will not find an evil that is not mentioned in Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, that is equal to 1/3 of the Quran. 1/3 of the meaning of the Quran is found within Qul huwa Allahu ahad. It's like reading 1/3 of the Quran. Al-Falaq, which contains, and if you look at Al-Falaq and Al-Nas, look at what it contains, look at the benefits that are found within it. You know, you're taking قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, the Lord of the daybreak, seeking refuge with Him. مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ, from the evil that Allah Azza wa Jalla created. Is there any evil outside of that? Every evil, every wrong, every problem is found within مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ. And so on and so forth. مِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ. And نَفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ are the women who blow on the knots, the magicians. The female magicians who blow on the knots. وَمِنْ شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. Every person who is jealous of you, whether it's evil eye or whether it's jealousy, you seek refuge from them. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ. From the evil of the whispering shaitan. الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. The one who whispers into the hearts of men. مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ. Whether from the jinn or from the men. Every shaitan, shaitan al-jinn, shaitan al-ins. Shaitan of the jinn, shaitan of the men, you seek refuge with them from this. There's no evil that isn't within that. مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ, مِنْ شَرِّ الشَّيْطَانِ, مِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, شَرِّ الْحَاسِدِ إِذَا حَسَدْ. You have every single evil, every single problem that relates to jinn, magic, evil eye within those. So this is just an introduction, and I kind of hoped we would have had more time. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. But inshallah ta'ala we're going to pray Salatul Asr. I'm going to stop there. What we are going to do inshallah is, I had promised a few brothers that I would see them. I can't promise I'll see everybody because I will take you in turns as to when you spoke to me today. Can't promise I'll see everybody because, as you guys know, the time is very limited, but I'm going to try to stay until Maghrib inshallah. And what I will do inshallah ta'ala is, I will come and see you. I know who I spoke to. I will come and see you one by one. And then you guys, if anyone else wants to wait, they can just wait around in the masjid inshallah. And we'll keep coming and getting people until the time finishes, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So inshallah we'll try to see everyone that we promised, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, after Asr. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu feekum. Remind everyone, guys, before you get up, just give me 1 second with people on the video. I want to remind you once again, ikhwani, to visit Newcastle Central Mosque. We said this is a condition of watching the video. Visit newcastlecentralmosque.com, visit buildncm.com, so that you can inshallah contribute to the masjid who made this class possible after the help of Allah Azza wa Jal. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.